Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah.
And inspiring and innovating it throughout the UK, want to speak, of the world. So let's put our hands together for both Vaisesika Prabhu, Nirukula Mataji, and of course Bhakti Rasamrta. Hare Krishna. So I'll first of all we're just going to request Bhakti Rasamrta.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Caitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. I'm not going to make it very long because we have, for the first time in the Bhaktivedanta manner after many, many years, His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu. In addition to what Shruti Dharma Prabhu has just announced, he is also one of our most inspirational leaders in ISKCON, who is inspiring devotees worldwide, primarily in the distribution of books and also in general becoming more Krishna conscious through strong reading of Prabhupada's books, through strong sadhana and cultivating nice communities of devotees everywhere. So it is indeed a pleasure and an honor that he is with us this evening, along with his good wife, Nirukula Mataji. By the way, I didn't know that you were the co-author of Higher Taste, so I stand educated today. The sacred gift of Lord Chaitanya, fascinating topic, because it is indeed something extraordinarily rare. A bit of arithmetic to start with. For those of you who don't have a mathematics background, don't worry, it's very basic arithmetic. The age that we live in now is called Kali Yuga. It's 432,000 years long. The age before this was the Dwapar Yuga, twice as much as Kali Yuga. The age before that was Treta Yuga, thrice as long as Kali Yuga. And the one before that was Satya Yuga, 4 times as long as Kali Yuga. So we have this cycle that repeats, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. And the length or the duration of these 4 yugas together is equal to 10 times the duration of Kali Yuga. So if Kali Yuga is 432,000 years, then how long is one Chatur Yuga or the 4 yugas? Some arithmetic? 4.32 million years. Now these 4.32 million years revolve, they repeat 1,000 times. And 1,000 such Chatur Yugas become one day of the creator of the universe, Brahma. And once in a day of Brahma, that is once in 4.32 billion years, the Lord appears once in his different expansions, in his different incarnations. Sometimes these incarnations appear more than once, but generally it's once. So Lord Narasimhadeva comes in once, Lord Varahadev comes once, and so on. Lord Krishna comes once, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu comes once. Once in 4.32 billion years. And Caitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared only 500 years before us. So just consider the time span of 4.32 billion years, and we are born just 500 years after Caitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared. So what is so special about Caitanya Mahaprabhu? To know that, we'll reflect a little bit about what is so special about Krishna. What's special about Krishna is that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we may say, well, so is Ram, so is Narasimhadev, so is Vamanadev, Varahadev. What's the difference between Krishna and all these other forms? The difference is that even though Krishna is the same as these other forms, he is their origin, ultimately. And what's more interesting is that Krishna lives in Vrindavan. The other incarnations and expansions have their own domains in the spiritual world. And in these domains, their eternal devotees serve the Lord in those forms in a spirit of awe and reverence, in what is called the Vaikuntha world. But Krishna, the origin of all these forms of Godhead, resides in Vrindavan. And Vrindavan is very special because the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears as a simple cowherd boy. He doesn't fancy himself as God, doesn't like to be addressed as God. He just likes to frolic and play with the calves, with the cows, with his cowherd boy friends. He has a Rasa Leela with the gopis. He gives pleasure to his father and mother, Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. So the pastimes that the Lord performs in Vrindavan are unparalleled, incomparable, even when you see them in relation to the pastimes that all these other expansions of the Lord perform. And the same Lord Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. Remember, he also appears once in 4.32 billion years. And that time was just 5,000 years ago. One time Prabhupada said, just recently Krishna appeared. Because in the time span of eternity, in Vedic cosmology, 5,000 years is a very, very small time span. So Krishna appears. He brought Vrindavan with him, and 5,000 years ago, he demonstrated or exhibited these pastimes for the whole world to see. Generally, people in the world think of God with awe and fear. They think of God as a Lord who must be obeyed, lest they get punished. This is the general conception about God overall in the world, and it has been in history. But Vrindavan was exceptional and unique because God had and has a profile here that is quite unlike in any other place, where he's so down to earth, he's so simple, he's just a cowherd boy. So therefore, the devotees of Vrindavan also don't consider Krishna as God. And even on times when they know that Krishna is God, they don't care that he is God. It doesn't make a difference. So the special quality of Vrindavan is that there is this exceptionally deep and intense intimacy of love between the devotees and Krishna. There is this special quality of sweetness of the bhakti, of the love of the residents of Vrindavan for the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vrindavan. So Krishna exhibited this when he descended 5,000 years ago. But to us, it seems such a distant thing. How can we access it? How can we come in contact with it? How can we participate in that most extraordinary occurrence? And therefore, that same Lord Krishna appeared as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The other avatars like Lord Ram and Lord Narasimha are also Krishna, but they are expansions of Krishna. They are called avatars. Krishna is the avatari, which means he is a source of all these avatars. Caitanya Mahaprabhu is special because he is also in the category of avatari. He is the same Krishna of Vrindavan, but he has appeared in a mood to relish the pastimes of Vrindavan and to make available and accessible to the whole world Vrindavan. So Caitanya Mahaprabhu, so to speak, is the gatekeeper to the secret corridors of Vrindavan. So if we want to enter into this very mystical world, this extraordinarily sweet world of pastimes that go on between the Lord and his devotees in Vrindavan, then we have to go through Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu has come for this purpose, to reveal the whole of Vrindavan with its sweet pastimes to us. And he has come to make these pastimes available and accessible. So much so that we have the hope now of one day being able to attain to Vrindavan after we leave this world. And he has done that through the chanting of the holy names, the congregational chanting. So through the process of the Sankirtana movement, he is going to deliver the higher taste, the highest taste of Vrindavan to the whole world without considering the qualifications of the recipients. There is a nice verse. Anarpita charim chirat karunaya vatirnah kalau samarpaitu munnatojvala rasam svabhakti shriyam harihi purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipitaha sada hridaya kandare spuratu bhashachinandano, in which it is declared, may that transcendentally effulgent son of Shachi Devi, that is Caitanya Mahaprabhu, be ever manifest in your heart. He is resplendent with the radiance of shining gold. He has descended in this world to give what no other incarnation of the Lord has given before. And what is it that he has come to give? Unnata Ujvala Rasa. Unnata means elevated. Ujvala Rasa means the unparalleled sweet taste of the pastimes of Vrindavan. So this is Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's sacred gift to all of us and to the whole world, revealing the most esoteric, the deepest and the most wonderful understanding of Godhead. And so easily available, just by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is available to us. When he advented 500 years ago, he performed many pastimes with his devotees. I'll just narrate one pastime, and that is about how he bestowed mercy upon one of his associates called Gauridas Pandit. Gauridas Pandit lived in a village called Ambika Kalna, not too far from Mayapur or Navadvip. When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu decided that he would take sannyas, he made a last visit to Ambika Kalna to see Gauridas Pandit and the other devotees. Gauridas Pandit was heartbroken because he did not want to be separated from the Lord. So he wept bitterly and pleaded with the Lord to please remain behind and deliver everybody and not take sannyas and go away to Jagannath Puri or wherever he wanted to go. Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu tried their best to console Gauridas Pandit, but they were unable to. Then finally Mahaprabhu said, "All right, my dear Gauridas, what I'm going to do is that we will expand ourselves into the form of the deity. And you're an expert in philosophy. So you know that the deities are non-different from us. So when the deities are with you, we are with you." So Gauridas Pandit wasn't very satisfied. So we had 4 forms. We had Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and then you had the 2 expansions in the form of the deity. So then Gauridas Pandit told Mahaprabhu, "You may serve any one of us, any 2 of us you like." So he served all 4 of them. And then the time came for them to depart, and he made his choice and he selected 2 of them, Krishna and Nityananda Prabhu and Caitanya Mahaprabhu, because there's no difference between the Lord and his devotees. Actually, when the Lord manifested as a deity and said, the deities are non-different from us, then it is said that Gauridas Pandit said, "Then let the deities go and you stay." And the deities got off the altar and started walking, and he told them, "No, you stay back and you go." And then these went on the altar and those started going, and they said, No, you stay back." Anyway, after this happened for some time, finally he made his decision, he made a choice. And the 2 lords stayed back and the two lords left. Now, which of the 2 he chose, which actually remained, is a mystery, because in any case both are the same. There's no difference. And he continued serving them with great devotion. And one time, because he was serving them so many items of food to eat, so they were feeling that now he's getting old, we shouldn't ask him to prepare so many items. So they refused to eat. And Gauridas Pandit was annoyed with them. Now we can't imitate him and do the same with the deities when we worship them. But it is nevertheless inspirational. And then the 2 lords said, "But you're getting old." He said, No, I'm making it, but you're not eating it. He said, all right, we'll eat it, don't worry. Make a few items and we'll be satisfied. So he said, "At least today eat whatever I have done. And from tomorrow I'll just give a little salt in your plate and you can help yourself." So the lords were smiling. One time he was dreaming or imagining he was meditating rather, not imagining. He was meditating that the Lord's deities were gorgeously decorated. And when he came to the altar, he found that indeed the Lord's deities were decorated because they had ornamented themselves, understanding Gauridas Pandit's mood. Another time, his disciple Hridayananda was performing a festival some distance away on the banks of the river Ganga. And such tumultuous and ecstatic kirtan was going on there that the deities from the altar jumped off and they entered into the Sankirtan and started dancing and chanting along with the devotees. It was time to offer bhoga, and the pujari came and he saw the deities were missing. And he came back and rushed to Gauridas Pandit and described the situation. Gauridas Pandit immediately understood what had happened. And he took a stick in his hand and he rushed to where the devotees were chanting and dancing. And he was looking out, where are those 2? Nityananda Prabhu and Gauranga Mahaprabhu, where are they? Where are they? And when the Lord saw him, they were so struck with fear that they entered into the heart of Hridayananda. Hridayananda means one who gives pleasure or ananda to the heart. That's Krishna, so it's the name of Krishna. And they entered into the heart, and this happened right in front of Gauridas Pandit's eyes, and he was overwhelmed with joy. He embraced his disciple and he changed his name from Hridayananda to Hriday Caitanya. He into whose heart Caitanya Mahaprabhu manifest. And in one of the pastimes of Gauridas Pandit, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu also told him, don't you know, Gauridas, that we are cowherd boys? And they manifested as Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. And you're also one of our cowherd boy friends. And Subal was, and Gauridas Pandit was actually Subal in Krishna Leela. So Subal found himself dressed like a cowherd boy. And they had some pastimes for a while before they again assumed their forms of the Gaura Leela. So Vrindavan and Navadvip are non-different. Krishna and Gauranga Mahaprabhu are non-different. So these mysteries are revealed by the transcendental instructions and messages of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And if we simply follow his movement, follow his teachings and that of his representatives, and especially in the modern day and age, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, surely we will be able to avail fully of the sacred gift that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us. This Sankirtan movement of chanting the names of Krishna is also manifesting in another beautiful form as described by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He described that when you take a mridangam and kartal, the sound will go only for a short distance. But if you have a printing press in which books of Krishna are printed, then they can travel thousands of miles. So he called the printing press and the process of distributing this transcendental literature as the Brihat Mridanga, the big Mridanga, because now the transcendental sound vibration would spread far and wide all over the globe. Srila Prabhupada emphasized the distribution of such transcendental literature enormously in his teachings. And we are fortunate today that we have His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, who is such a living embodiment of the teachings of Srila Prabhupada with respect to being Krishna conscious in general and especially with regards to spreading the transcendental literature everywhere. And we are going to hear from him for the next 45 minutes. And especially I want to recommend this wonderful book, Our Family Business. It's a very tempting title because we are all business-minded in one sense. But when we open the book, we'll find this business is something completely transcendental. It's something that will benefit everybody, the buyer, the seller, and lots of people get commissions in between. Everybody gets transcendental commissions. I would heartily encourage and urge all of you who don't have a copy to kindly procure one, and I believe Vaisesika Prabhu will be present in the reception area after the program, and he will personally sign these copies for you. So do avail of this opportunity to take his personally signed book and also to avail of his personal association. He is going to be giving classes here for the next 2-3 days. So do take the benefit of this. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.
I offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrta Swami Maharaj, to all the devotees who are present here today, and to anyone who tuned in online, and anyone else in the whole world. Hare Krishna. Just before, when we announced that we'd be having this class tonight, here at the Mahasangha, that I would be speaking with His Holiness, I got an email from our co-Sankirtan leader at ISKCON Silicon Valley. We've had a wonderful ride there at ISKCON Silicon Valley. It's been an ideal laboratory with full permission to experiment in any way we like, because we started from practically nothing in a little house on New Jersey Avenue. A few devotees crammed in together, just with an ideal. And today it's blossomed somewhat into a community that is we're happy to be a part of. And we're happy to be together working towards worthy goals. And the devotees there are feeling satisfied by hearing and chanting together, helping each other, and trying to reach these various worthy goals in both their sadhana and in the outreach for Krishna consciousness, which includes many different aspects. But one of them we focused on very much so over the years is book distribution. And we've had co-Sankirtan leaders there. I always like to do things in co's so that there's a sense of cooperation, teamwork, two people working together. So we have these two Sankirtan leaders. One of them is named Sri Krishna Purushottam, whose initials just happen to be SKP. And the other one is Malini Devi Dasi. So she's the one who wrote me. And she was overjoyed that I would be speaking alongside Maharaj tonight. And she told me that actually when she got married, she wasn't interested in Krishna consciousness so much. But her husband was, the great Srivas Pandit, who's a world-renowned preacher and pundit who has graduated almost 200 people in the Bhakti Shastri and many more in the Bhakti Vaibhav and so forth. And it was an arranged marriage. Every time his parents would arrange somebody for her to meet, for him to meet, they'd say, now don't tell her about the Krishna consciousness part. She'll scare him away. And as soon as the parents would disappear for a second, say, I'm a devotee, Hare Krishna, I chant 16 rounds, I follow 4 regular principles, and they take off. But she didn't take off, but still, she wasn't really that interested in Krishna consciousness. And she wrote me and said that she was struggling with it. And then Maharaj came and visited this couple and stayed at their house. And she said that he had a cold and he couldn't even talk. He couldn't utter a word because he had some kind of laryngitis. But just by his presence in their house, she had been transformed. And suddenly she decided, I'm going to surrender my life to Krishna. Now, how does this relate to distributing Krishna consciousness, book distribution? Well, she turned out to be our co-Sankirtan leader. Such a determined devotee who's taken immense pressure on her shoulders over so many years. These goals keep getting bigger and bigger, and we always ask, how are we going to reach the next goal? And she loses sleep over it, as well as Sri Krishna Purushottam and the other team members. But if it hadn't been for Maharaj's visit there, I don't know if she would have been there. So there's a plan. Lord Chaitanya has a plan. He's playing on a chessboard. He's about 1 billion moves ahead of us. And he knows how it all intersects and how it all works. So we thank you very much, Maharaj, for walking the earth and visiting people whether you can talk or not. Lucky thing he has no microphone right now. So, there's a sense that giving is a good thing. In fact, there was a survey that I mentioned in my book. Thousands of students, college students across Canada, and they asked them, what's better, to give or receive? And what do you think they said? Everyone says that. So, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, I like to call the extreme giver. You know, there's sports, and then they call extreme sports. Those are the ones that practically you risk life and limb to perform the sport. There's giving. And people try to give according to their capacity. You really have to have a purified heart to give what's really valuable to you. Most people give what's left over. But Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu showed this extreme giving and what it does for the giver and what it does for the world. It's not always easy to give because people also don't have receiving capacity. This is an interesting point. Throughout the ages, we've seen religious movements that bring something they think is of value, but people don't have the capacity to receive it. So oftentimes we see they're forced by military strength, you take this or you die. In fact, many people are slaughtered because they won't take it. But Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's giving meant that he was simultaneously able to increase people's receiving capacity and then pour in the most valuable of gifts, as Maharaj was mentioning. And Srila Prabhupada had this capacity also. And this is the preoccupation of great souls. In fact, the only real dharma is to give up envy of other living entities. This is the highest dharma. And in fact, this is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto. And when one's heart becomes free from envy, one develops the capacity to both give and receive Krishna consciousness. So when Srila Prabhupada came to America, he was traveling on a ship and he was praying to Krishna to give him the power to increase the capacity of the people that he would meet to be able to take Krishna consciousness. And when he came to America, he set about giving Krishna consciousness and simultaneously providing the infrastructure through which people could qualify themselves to take what he was giving. He had to do both things because people didn't know exactly what he was giving. They could only understand a little bit. But he did both things simultaneously. And we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam that this is what all great souls who are free from envy do. They spend their lives thinking about how to do good for others, how to give the greatest gift. For instance, at Naimisharanya, the sages got together for a seminar. And what was the seminar about? What was it? Not a rhetorical question, I'm actually asking you. What was it about? How to do the highest good for all the living entities. That's the question they were asking. And how long was the seminar for, by the way? Only 1,000 years. 1,000-year seminar. This is the topic, how to do the highest good for the people in general. So they came together to ask this question, to find out the answer, so that they could give the greatest gift to people. And in fact, the word sampradaya means bequeathment, which means that something extremely valuable is being passed down from one person to the next and given as a gift. Bequeathment means it's given as a gift. There's nothing asked in return, it's just given. So this is our legacy. We come from this line of great givers, extreme givers. And Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu showed that when you get into this stream of giving, then your own capacity to take Krishna consciousness also increases. For instance, in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned that the members of the Panchatattva broke open the storehouse of love of God. You see, in the poetical language of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's mentioned that when Lord Krishna came, he brought that storehouse of love of Godhead, but he made some conditions. And therefore, Kaviraj Goswami said the storehouse was locked up. But when Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates came, they broke open the storehouse. They broke the lock off. They plundered it. In fact, the word used in the Bengali is lute. Do you have that word in England? Loot? Do people ever loot here? They do in America sometimes. Something gets overheated and there's a social unrest and there's an overswell and people come out and they just start smashing things and taking away whatever they like. So this is the sense given in the Caitanya Charitamrita that Kaviraj Goswami gives us, that the members of the Panchatattva, they looted, they broke it open, they just smashed it, they took out everything and they went out and distributed it to as many people as they could meet. And he makes it very clear that he didn't care who he gave it to. Who was fit or who was unfit qualified, no consideration. And also, where was a good place and where wasn't a good place, he also didn't consider. Everywhere he went, he gave Krishna consciousness. And he also gave an edict that everyone, wherever you go, whoever you see, whenever you meet somebody, he ordered every person to give Krishna consciousness. So, this order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is still hanging in the air. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport to the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam that the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a manifestation of His internal potency. And it is by that internal potency that one can come to see the Lord face to face. Such a valuable piece of information. So, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was given this order to everyone. It's an open order that if you take it, and you enter into this mood of extreme giving on behalf of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, then, and I forgot to mention, that when they broke open the storehouse of the love of God and distributed the contents, the more the contents increased. Spiritual mathematics. They tasted it, they distributed it, and the contents kept growing. And we found this in our laboratory in ISKCON of Silicon Valley. We keep trying to become more extreme in our giving. And the more we do, the more Caitanya Mahaprabhu brings resources that we had no idea were there. Actually, this is an exhilarating life. The process of Sankirtan and extreme giving gives one a chance to break away from the safety, the so-called safety of material life, where I calculate how I will maintain myself and be safe in this world, which is not actually possible. All the great acharyas say that it's not possible. Shukadeva Goswami says, Deha patra kalatradeshu atmasainesu satsapi tesham pramato nidhanam pashanapina pashati. Said, whatever way you think that you're able to take care of yourself and protect yourself in this world, and those agents that are protecting you, he said, these are fallible soldiers. They won't be able to protect you. And the process of Sankirtan, in the mood of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, gives us a chance to break away from the comfort zone, to go out into the big wide world and offer people a chance to take to Krishna consciousness. And in doing that, we live in that zone of taking shelter of Krishna. Radhika Raman Prabhu once spoke about how Krishna invites us into situations where we have to take more shelter of Him. He recounted how when Hiranyakashipu threw his son, Shri Prahlad, over a cliff, that it wasn't until the very bottom that Krishna caught him. He didn't catch him at the top. He says, well, why is that Krishna lets us experience such things? And it's so we can have the opportunity to take more shelter of Him. But in the process of Sankirtan, in the missionary movement, we get an opportunity to voluntarily go out of our comfort zone to meet people and give them this gift of Krishna consciousness. And each time we do it, we have no idea exactly how it's going to work. Going out to meet people and offer them Krishna consciousness always offers a unique situation that is outside our comfort zone. And I like to say that if you live outside your comfort zone, and you become comfortable outside your comfort zone, and uncomfortable when you're in your comfort zone, then you're living in the right zone. And the process of going out, passing the threshold of one's house or the temple, one's ashram, and going out into that unknown of the world, to just try to be a giver on behalf of Krishna. Just like Prabhupada did. He crossed the threshold, big threshold. He left India. He came to America. And what he had was the gift of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And it always works. And the reason it works is because it's backed by Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. In fact, Kaviraj Goswami says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a great capitalist. And we're all meant to be spiritual entrepreneurs. And if one takes a risk, entrepreneurs like to take risks, right? If you take a risk for Lord Chaitanya to distribute Krishna consciousness to others, then he'll back you up. You don't need anything more than the backing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's got unlimited capital to back us up. So this is the mood of extreme giving, and those who live in that mood find that their life goes by in chunks, because it's a kind of samadhi that you can live in, thinking deeply about how to give Krishna consciousness to others. And from one week to the next, trying to achieve greater efficiency in giving out Krishna consciousness to others, and then month by month, year by year, decade by decade, and one will find that one has used one's entire life for the purpose that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has asked us to use it, and that is to distribute Krishna consciousness to as many people as possible. Srila Prabhupada signed his poems on the Jaladuta, the most insignificant beggar. And the word yes, the word's insignificant beggar. But this is our tradition also. Besides extreme giving, we also have in our line, because we're followers of Krishna, extreme taking. So Prabhupada's signing his letters, insignificant beggar, out of humility, was actually not quite accurate, because neither was he insignificant. Nor was he really a beggar in the sense that people understand what beggars do. He had everything. He didn't need anything. He was begging on behalf of Krishna and taking from people. So Vamanadev, when he approached Bali Maharaj, what did he ask for? Make the mudra. It's like this. You never saw the Dasa avatar stotram? Yeah, everyone do this. So when he asked for it, Bali Maharaj said, take something. And Vamanadev said, I'm just an insignificant beggar. I'm a little brahmachari. All I want is 3 paces of land. And Bali Maharaj said, oh, that's ridiculous. I'm the emperor. You don't ask the emperor for some tiny little thing. Ask for something big. He said, no, just 3 paces of land. And then what did he take? Approximately how much did he take? It's a great pastime. I mean, it's just so charming that Vamanadev, he comes as a little brahmachari, just 3 paces, that's all I want. I don't need anything else. And then Bali Maharaj said, all right, here you go. And then he took everything. He took away all of his attachments, all the territory he thought he ruled over, and so forth. And this is the similar way in which Prabhupada became the insignificant beggar. He came, apparently, as a penniless person, but he wanted to take the whole world and give it to Krishna everywhere he went, tenaciously, taking whatever he could out of goodwill, whatever people would offer out of goodwill, and he would offer it to Krishna. And he created more and more capacity in them to give. So this is the great art of living in the Sankirtan movement, is to become an extreme giver and also to learn the art of taking. And I had a lesson in that recently when we were in Jagannath Puri. We have a yatra each year where we visit Jagannath Puri with some of our devotees. We have a Harinam Sankirtan outside the Jagannath temple, accompanied by a book table and distribution of prasadam, and it's uproarious. What a place to have Harinam. And we also put Mahaprabhu on a table. He's there giving his benedictions. And so we're all out distributing books in front of the Harinam party. And there's a beggar there in Jagannath Puri. I think she's there all the time. And pretty much professional. That's what she does for a living. And as I was talking to people, she would come over and ask me for something. So I finally turned around and I handed her a book. And she said, no, I want money. And I said, no, I want money. And this is interesting, because is that ethical, to beg from a beggar? Can you actually ask a poor beggar that you give me something? But I was asking on behalf of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. She saw my eyes, she saw my countenance, and she could understand I wasn't kidding around. And I wasn't hesitant at all, because I'm coming from a line of extreme takers. It's not for me. I'm taking from you on behalf of my spiritual master. And so you have to give. So now, people in Jagannath Puri who were watching the Harinam, they saw this. And they came over. And there was a circle around us. First a small circle, then a big circle. And she said, no. And I said, yes. Back forth. And she finally pulled in her little sock that she had down there, and she pulled out a handful of coins she gave me, and the crowd went, yay! And I felt this great satisfaction, because I could see that the taking that Srila Prabhupada did, the taking that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu did, this is our line, not only of extreme giving, but extreme taking. This is all auspicious. It's giving people an opportunity to participate in the Sankirtan movement. In fact, over the years in distributing books, I've evolved in the way that I approach people, and the way that I ask for donations. And when I give seminars on book distribution, I usually start at the end, which is asking for donation, because people oftentimes are happy to go out on book distribution, but the part that's a little sticky is asking for donation at the end, right? I mean, anybody can go out and give out free stuff. Even that might be a little challenging sometimes. But asking somebody, a complete stranger, you should give something, that could be a little daunting. So I start with that at the beginning and explain that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, don't give this knowledge to anyone who's not devoted or austere. And how do I know if they're devoted or austere? Well, I figured that out by asking them for a donation. Because when they have a little devotion, a little capacity, they can give something. And it's an austerity, and we know that from seeing the look on their face when we ask them to give a little something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be money. Money is only a token. They can give their attention. Oftentimes people give their full attention, and then they just don't have any money. But then they say, oh no, take it back. And they say, no, you paid attention. So you gave something. But this is for the benefit of the person who's taking, that also gives something to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So here's what I say when I ask for donation. It's at the end of my presentation about the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm cutting right to the end, because it's kind of the exciting part. I hand the book back after I've showed it to them. I hand it to them first, and then I take it back to show them the book. And then at the end, when I hand it back to them, I say, we don't sell these like in a bookstore. We only ask for a donation. We don't need the money. The only reason we ask is, it's an ancient tradition. When you give something in return for spiritual knowledge, it connects you to the previous teachers who have passed it down over many generations, and it allows you to enter deeply within the knowledge. The reason that it's effective is because I'm truthfully presenting the reason we ask for donation, and I'm not needy at all. I don't need their money. We don't need their money. Prabhupada didn't need anything from anyone. The only reason he came as an insignificant beggar was to take on behalf of Krishna, so that person could pay attention to what he was presenting and be able to enter deeply within it. And people sense that. When we develop the same mood of giving and taking on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Prabhupada points out in the Upadeshamrita, the Dati Pratiganati, Guyamakyati Prachiti, Bhunte Bojayate Chaiva, Shadvidham Pratilakshanam. That our entire movement is based on the principle of give and take. Giving valuable gifts and accepting whatever people give from their heart in return. This is the essence of our movement, and this is the essence of our Sankirtan process, the Samyak Kirtan. So we can prepare ourselves to do this kind of work, and we'll feel extremely enlivened in doing it. We can also innovate ways in which to make this, the holy names and the transcendental literatures and prasadam available to as many people as possible. One of the ways that can be done is always staying prepared, keeping with you prasadam and transcendental literature. The other day, I was walking in the park with Devesh Prabhu near his home, and he brought his book bag with him on a walk. We were just going on a walk. And we were coming around the corner, and there was a group of young people sitting on a bench. And they looked at us, and they were like, "What are you guys, again?" And his answer was to pull out prasadam. He gave each one of them a little packet of prasadam. And then each one of them got a book. And then some of them gave donations. And it turned a regular stroll in the park into a transcendental adventure, because he had prepared himself to do this. And if we live in that zone of always thinking, how can I be prepared? Then Caitanya Mahaprabhu will use us to do that work, because he has a lot of big plans. He wants to take over every town and village and have the holy names resonate there. And if we cooperate with that, then we'll want for nothing in our life. We'll live in the flow of mercy from Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu by becoming his instruments wherever we go. So those are a few thoughts. And I was hoping in the last few minutes we could take a few reflections. That is, any things that you heard so far that's stuck in your mind, or if you have a question that you want to ask. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for such a wonderful discourse. I was reflecting on the process of giving and receiving. And my question is that can one give without having prior received it? So in other words, is the process of giving and receiving, are they chronological, or they're independent, or they're interdependent?
Well, I do know that when devotees meet devotees who are in the mood, in the Sankirtan mood, and they get swept along in that current. And then, who knows which started first, but they can begin the process. One of our dear devotees at ISKCON Silicon Valley, the first day he walked in the temple, we were going out on Sankirtan. And he just walked in, and we said, "Well, we're going out. You're coming in, we're going out." And he said, "Where are you going?" So on Sankirtan. He said, "What's that?" He said, "Why don't you come and find out?" So he ended up in front of a store with our tables there. And I witnessed as he distributed his first book. And all the devotees were busy distributing. And so he was left with these inquirers. And there he had just been recruited. And I notioned to him, was like, help him out. So they asked about the Ishopanishad, which he had no knowledge of, and he said, "I've heard it's a good book." And they gave him a $10 donation. And I was thinking, see, this, if you just come along with the devotees, like with Shivananda saying, even a dog ran into the party. And just, you know, the devotees are so accommodating to say, yeah, come on, let's go. You're with us now. That's the mood of Sankirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went everywhere and he just collected up anybody who has a slight inkling, and this happens all the time. We were going door to door in Denver, Colorado, in a very poor section of town, which is always interesting because Prabhupada mentions in the Krishna book that poor people are really open and they don't mind if you walk on their property, whereas rich people will call the police very quickly. But we were there and people would be having dinner and things and they just say, come on in, and they'd be at the dinner table and say, how can we help you, and so forth. So we came in this one house and this showed the book, people got a donation, and the man became so enthused by what we were doing, he said, I'm coming with you. They came around, get that one, I know that guy, you go get that one. He took us up and down the street showing. So it's an internal energy, this Sankirtan. And if someone gets caught up in it, they get knowledge and detachment very quickly. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janaya Yashivayara Yam Yanam Chayara Haitukam. By performing the direct process of devotional service, you naturally get knowledge and detachment from the world. And that's a long answer to a very short question. Yes?
You said that you want to give something valuable, but if the other person is not ready to receive it, you want to give something valuable, but if the other person is not willing to receive it, then how do you handle that rejection, right? Which I presume happens all the time?
Well, it doesn't happen all the time. It happens sometimes. It's just like a little spice that's added. It's not the main preparation. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur urged his followers, his sannyasis, to go out every day and knock on a few doors. And he also told them that when you're rejected or misunderstood, he said you get chidrakta for your chid sharira. Chid sharira means your spiritual body. And chidrakta means spiritual blood. And we have a very comprehensive children's Sankirtan program. Kids have been going out for 10 years there, some of them starting at 5 years old, in a very warm and loving and protected environment. They go out with parents and guardians and everything like that. And Kameshwari Dasi, who heads that program, was telling a group recently in a seminar that the first time the kids got rejected, they all sat down together in a circle and talked about it. And they assimilated that experience. It's important to learn how to face rejection. And how do you handle that? By studying the Bhagavad Gita and looking inwardly. And also not taking things personally, and also changing your standard of what's success. Just walking out the door is success. You may walk out the door, you may stay in, but if you're in the mood of fanning the spark and helping others in Krishna consciousness, it's already successful. The results, whether somebody takes or doesn't take, that's not the measure of success. The measures of success is in the effort to do this. Thank you for such a beautiful question. And speaking of giving, I'm very, very impressed with this new project coming up in building, and I saw the diagram for the new temple. And one of the reasons I'm excited about it is because we built a new temple, at least we reconstructed one that we bought recently. And it was a very unifying event for everybody. And I also saw how you can give 10% to support this, or a regular donation to support it. And I saw how it unified our community. And so I was very enthused about this project that you're doing here, and just wanted to be encouraging that I know it's a high hill to climb, but by giving of your income to build a beautiful temple like this, it's a form of giving that lasts forever. And I learned this once, which I hope I can say in 30 seconds, at Radhakund. I went in to say my Gayatri, I left all my possessions on the bank, and when I turned around after my Gayatri, they were all gone. I walked home about 6 miles in a gumsha. I did pretend like I was a sadhu, but when I got back to the ashram, it was my first day in the Dham, I gave all my donation that I usually give at the end to the ashram. And the reason I was acutely aware that anything can be taken away at any time. And so I like this idea of preemptive giving. Give away what you have right now to build something that's eternal and permanent for others before it's taken from you. And also, I just want to mention that we have a new program. We have many new programs, which I'll be talking about over the next couple of days, but one of them is called Go Matsya. Who saved the Vedas? Matsya. So we've developed a program through which we empower people that we meet immediately to become book distributors. And I'll say more about that later, and thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande Haribol.